All right, so get ready to yell at me when this video posts if I don't have all this stuff done. I went to take Riley for a bunch of quality time this morning and went in one direction. Then I wanted to go to Lowe's, see if they had more of the subfloor adhesive I'm using. That was like almost 40 minutes from where I was, so I went there, and then that was another half hour back to here, and took him on another walk on the way back, and it is almost 2 o'clock is what it is. So I threw him in the camper. He should be relaxed and happy, and I'm gonna get to work here. So I'm gonna start by just cutting in these boards I have that go across between here, and just get them all caught with like one screw on each, just to get fitment, because again, this is the one that's bowed really bad. So once I get those wedged in, then I can start seeing if this is all going to square up perfectly, if I got to trim anything to get everything to line up to the outsides of the walls and all that jazz. And then once I get around to the other side, is these last two boards that you can see right here, those still have to be ripped off. So those two are supposed to continue all the way out. I just cut them off, and I figured where I was going out of the basement a bunch, I'd leave them on there till last minute, because those tie into the braces here and the braces over there. This should be supported on these ones. That I got jacked down to the basement. So this might be a little bit of finagle trying to get these new boards in here, where I'm going to be working from a ladder over there, so I can't bring them super high. So we'll just see. Whatever happens there, happens there. And then out on this corner, I got to cut a piece of blocking and wedge that in and see how that lines up once that's tensioned in where it's supposed to be against the chimney. I may have to shave it a little bit on the edge of the chimney. Not a big deal. And yeah. So just got to get to it. So see what happens. Wish me luck. It's super late. All right, so all the floor joists are in place, not done, just in place. Couple of catches is I didn't have the joist hangers for this side. I had a bunch in the trailer. They were 2x6s for 2x6s, not for 2x10s. So I had just put a piece of plywood under the bottom edge across all of them so I could sit it on it and just kind of catch a couple of screws in them so I could continue on with getting everything set up. All the blocking is in over there. I haven't run the blocking down the middle yet, and I was just double checking everything and found another problem. I don't know if you remember or not, but I jacked the whole center of the house, that whole beam. Thought that beam settled. But honestly, I think that's the way the house was built. I think the house was built with a low spot in the middle of it. The reason why I say I think it was built that way was this end here, I had a heck of a time jacking it as much as I could to get the same size shim on this side as that side. And the flooring, the subfloor, I got it under the mantle on the fireplace. I don't know if you remember that hassle. That was bare. When I first got it in, the mantle was sitting crooked, like the right side was like levitating some. After I jacked it, that touched down. I can't go up anymore. Now, when I shot the laser across the floor, the foundation, to level up the concrete, I shot it from that far side all the way around. So I know, like from that front section, this front section, all the way back is perfectly level, reasonably perfectly level. And then I continued on and shot the laser across and brought up all that concrete to match what they had done. And even over here, there was still remnants of it that I was bumping into. And that was giving me my guide, and that was reasonably level out there. All the subfloor boards were originally under the mantle. They were decayed, but they were under the mantle. So what I'm seeing now is, I saw this when I dropped the sill plate in. The sill plate is sitting higher. There we go. Yeah, the sill plate's sitting higher than this beam, and I jacked this beam wicked hard to get it to where it's at. It still needs to come up more. And I don't know if I'll be able to get a straight shot on this, but if you look straight down that, along the bottom, we're about 3/4 of an inch too high by looks. That rim joist is 3/4 of an inch too high. But what it is the, yeah, let me see if I can get a better vision. The mantle is sitting on there, and the mantle is as high as it can go. If it's called a mantle. No, that's a mantle. Half. The half. Yeah, I think that's what it was. But that is pressurized against that now with how much I jacked over here. Still needs to come up 3/4 of an inch for all these floor joists to come in and line up. And I checked. This is going downhill. These are going downhill. And it's going downhill going this way. So that corner does need to come up. That is going to be a major pain in the butt. So all this subfloor is all screwed, glued, nailed and screwed, nailed and glued. And it's all shoved all the way under that mantle, all the way back. And that's like final. So I think my only way to resolve this is going to be complicated to follow this, so hold on. So I think I'm going to have to cut the plywood flush with this, you know, Sawzall around it, and cut into the floor joist going this way, almost 3/4 of an inch. And then this one here, it's halfway on this one. So if I run the Sawzall a little deeper, I'll run a slot right down it. Then I got to get up from underneath somehow and cut that down 3/4 of an inch, pull out those pieces, and let the mantle float, hearth float, and then jack this beam up. Because otherwise I could probably get away with cutting it and going from underneath and cutting it in pieces and just ripping all the plywood out and letting the mantle, the hearth rather, I think it's hearth, sit on the floor joist with nothing between it. That would give me everything I need. Starting to wonder if that's the best way to do it. I'm gonna have to phone a friend. Yeah. I'm gonna have to call somebody and get their opinion on, do I try and lower the subfloor around it, or do I take the subfloor out and just let that drop down to the floor joists? If I did that, I'd probably have to get something in there, I'd imagine, even if it was like 1/8 inch plywood or something. I don't know. I guess I gotta make a call. But that's a curveball that just delayed me. So you can technically still yell at me if you want. The floor joists are in. I still have time in the day where I could get it blocked and actually stop putting down some subflooring. But I need to figure out this first. Oh boy. I'll probably check back in if somebody answers the phone. All right. So I ended up talking to 2 people, and I got mixed reviews from both, but I think they're both right. I think I think it's okay to do it both ways. So I'm going to do the easier way, and then if there's a problem with it later on, it'll actually be easier for me to backtrack and redo it the harder way at that point. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut around the hearth. The hearth. I'm going to cut right around the edge of it, and then I go up from underneath, and I'm going to cut up that plywood and rip that out in pieces. That'll give me 3/4 of an inch of void to be able to bring those floor joists up to get that floor level, and those should bump right into the bottom of the hearth and just rest right on the floor joist. The other option was to do the same cut around, but cut deeper and cut out 3/4 of an inch of the floor joist, kind of notch it down so the plywood could be under it and still drop. So I think I'm just going to take the simplest way, and then like I said, if I have to go back in and put the plywood back in, with all that out of there, it's going to be easier to do a 3/4 inch notch at that point with everything out, and then fish the plywood, a new piece of plywood in. Won't be the end of the world at that point. So, but it is getting late, and it's not satisfying to have to do any of this, and I haven't set up lights in the basement yet either. So I'm going to call it. I'm going to take Riley and go find somewhere with lighting to run them for a while and call it a night. But that's where we landed. Floor joists are in, and next curveball. But once this curveball is resolved, everything, all the flooring will be perfectly level throughout the house. That'll be a win. So in the end, it'll all be worth it. All the curveballs and aggravations and everything, but everything will be spot on, and when it's spot on, that's what you call satisfying. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and check in later.